What is going on, YouTube? I'm sorry I haven't posted a full-length video in a while, but I am working on getting better equipment so I am able to upload more consistently and frequently. It just takes time, and thank you all for subscribing and following my journey. And if you haven't thought about it yet, please do hit the like button as well as subscribe, smashing that notification bell so that when we do get into full swing videos, you will be the first to know. Now, on to the video. Guys, I don't know how to express this without coming off as whiny or irritated, but Respawn at this point has let their game sit in mud. Season 18 was essentially a flop, with the only real excitement coming from TSM winning ALGS Champs Year 3. Congrats to them, by the way. But other than that, Apex has been just extremely dry and lackluster. It also doesn't help that Respawn decided to implement a new SBMM structure into the game, making lobbies a lot more difficult for long-term players. Now, if you're an FPS enjoyer like I am, then you know there really isn't too many options to play right now. You either have the standard FPS games that have been around since Jesus, or you have Warzone, Fortnite, and Apex. Unfortunately for us as a community, Warzone is straight up boring, and most of us don't really play Fortnite because of its childish and media-heavy aesthetic. So for us, all that is left is Apex, and boy, that is no picnic right now. SBMM has been cranked to the max with a surprise patch that happened at the end of Season 17. It's made players in the top 10% of the game constantly be pitted against one another in what feels like high-stake matches. And quite honestly, it is very frustrating. Casual players say that those of us in the top end of the game should always be facing off against each other all the time and shouldn't have to rely on curb-stomping noobs. Well, let's set some things clear here for everyone. No one at the top end of Apex enjoys bot punching all day long. We enjoy a good, solid, competitive match just as much as the next person. But not every single game, and no matter if we take a few days off to a week, do we still get pitted up against each other in these very sweaty and aggressive lobbies. It's no fun, and everyone at any level of the game deserves to have a little fun and relax every once in a while. And SBMM is not good right now for the bottom half of the community as well, because none of you are getting a real sense as to what true skill looks like in Apex. It just creates this artificial skill gap in the game like a giant ravine, when it should be a gently sloping hill. Best SBMM in any game you play, because I am not arguing for the removal of SBMM, that would just be dumb, as skill-based matchmaking has existed in online shooters for as long as I can remember. Halo 2 actually being one of the first to come up with a system called True Skill, which is the basis for a lot of Microsoft Game Studios' SBMM today. But that is a video for another time. No, SBMM should be in the game in some form or another, but not this aggressive. The best SBMM is one that you don't even know is there. And if it isn't pubs, it's rank. Now, rank has seen a lot of changes season over season, but Respawn just never seems to get it right. But this season has to be one of the worst, probably in my top 3 worst rank seasons ever. One major reason is that being the hidden MMR system that Respawn put in. In case you don't know, here's a quick rundown of how that looks and plays in game. You see, as a player, you are given a hidden MMR, or rating based on various factors that tries to place you in lobbies in rank with others of similar MMR. If your MMR is high, and even if you might be in silver, you will more than likely play against stacked squads of current diamond and master players, which is the first part of the problem. What is the point in even playing rank currently if your MMR is forcing you to play against the best of the game has to offer straight away in some of the lower ranks such as silver and gold? This just doesn't make sense in a rank setting. The core essence of rank gameplay is to play against the players in your rank, and as you progress, to see if you are better than the set group of players. This is the main purpose of rank in any game. It is to see how well you stack up against the majority player base. But with this hidden MMR, this makes getting any rank practically worthless, especially at the top end of the game. If you're constantly going up against the best the game has to offer, especially in gold and silver, then there's really no point in even having a rank system at all. And in addition to that, the LP you get in this MMR system is out of whack. Players at the top end hardly ever get the skill bonuses for their ranked gameplay because the skill bonus is given to players who perform above their MMR level. And if you're at the top end of the game, you will never see this because you are always playing against the highest MMR possible. So this leads to lower performing players getting massive amounts of LP because some matches they do go up against players with higher MMR than them, leading to those lower end players getting through ranks a lot quicker, sometimes getting 600 to 800 LP for a win, while top end players who have the highest MMR, the best that they can do is around 200 LP a win. It's made the rank climb out of those lower ranks a lot more tedious and time consuming, and conversely allows lower end players to fly through this rank system with barely any games played. This should be the exact opposite. If you have a high MMR and you're in a lower rank, you should be facing other players within that rank, and you should be flying through the lower levels. There's a lot more I'd like to say on how to fix rank and what it should actually be, but that is also another video for another day. Just know that this is not perfect at all, and I don't think it's an excuse anymore at this point for Respawn to say, well, they don't know how to implement a good rank system when the game's been out for 4 years. Granted, keep in mind that coming up with a rank system that works in a BR is extremely difficult to get right and almost practically impossible. But we've already had good rank systems in past seasons. Instead of trying to implement so many new things that are completely rewriting those good rank systems, we should be building upon what made rank good in the first place instead of tearing it all down. Next is the LTMs, and more specifically Mixtape. Mixtape, the rotating LTM playlist, is about the only enjoyable casual experience in Apex right now, and that's because it has no skill-based matchmaking whatsoever. But it is straight up boring. It's the same 3 LTMs for at least 2 seasons now, with largely the same maps, except for the Broken Moon maps, which is just horrendous to play in of itself. Don't get me started on Broken Moon. And here comes the entire point of the video. There are many new shooters coming out within the next few months, such as X-Defiant, Hyenas, Dead Drop, and Modern Warfare 3 with an obvious update to Warzone. There is also many more on the horizon, so this is now a message specifically to Respawn. You as a company no longer have the luxury to put out any updates every 3 months. This is just not going to fly anymore. You as a company have had a very nice honeymoon era with Apex, with the world being trapped from COVID and the game industry being put essentially on hold, along with the fact that the game's core mechanics are the best in any shooter that I've ever played, that I'm sure most players would agree. But in this stage, this life cycle of Apex, you need to put out more frequent updates and patches. And I'm not talking about major ones like map changes and gun balancing. I am talking specifically about actually updating the Mixtape playlist to include some LTMs from past events, of which there is a massive catalog of LTMs for Respawn to choose from. Respawn also needs to make small micro patches and fixes to built-in systems in the game, such as updating the skill-based algorithm when it has become cranked way too hard, as well as updating and making micro changes to scoring and MMR in the rank system to make it make more sense. The days of Respawn sitting idly back collecting data for months only to put out a patch after the season has ended is no longer a viable option for this game so late in its life cycle. And what are the consequences if Respawn doesn't change their methods of maintaining a live service game? Well, we are already seeing the effects of it. A dwindling player count. We are already seeing player base levels of 2021 level, as many content creators are changing their content to fit other games, which content creators are the lifeblood of any live service game that help keep interest in a game well beyond its initial release. Am I saying that Apex is dying or will be dead? No, there will always be a dedicated player base to the game, but it's a matter of if the game is no longer profitable and if the parent company EA tells Respawn to scrap the game and move on, which, by the way, the last 3 quarters of the year, EA has reported lower than expected earnings from Apex, and it's only getting lower. It will come to a point where the game has just lost all interest to new and past players to come back and support it. And at that point, it will just be completely up to the powers that be whether the game continues on in the future.